You may have gotten this message because you now know what the observer effect is. That's when your view of reality will never be the same again. Perhaps this video appeared in your feed by chance. Because you're at the right vibrational level to understand quantum physics' deepest secret, your consciousness brought it to you. Please understand that this is not just a video before we go any further. It is an intentional transmission of energy. Sharing this message with one person you think is ready is more than just sending them a link. Spreading a frequency. Creating a quantum bridge helps awaken another node in the changing network of consciousness. This makes the energy stronger for both of you. When you think about these words, your brain is creating new neural pathways that will really link you to the quantum field. Do you remember that it was there for you? The constant feeling that things are shifting more quickly than most people think. You have the strangest feeling that your attention changes something in the world. When you have the strangest feeling that the universe is reacting to your thoughts in bizarre ways. Not just wishful thinking or a false belief. That's your consciousness realizing how powerful it is as a creator. There is no deep, secret knowledge about the observer effect that can be found in clean labs or fancy books. Recently, you've had direct experiences, but don't know what to name them. People have called you right away every time you thought of them. You know that constantly thinking about your issues makes them worse. You've also thought that thinking about new possibilities would make them more likely to happen. Watching your reality doesn't just assist in making it happen, it actually makes it happen. Declare in public that you agree with these words if you do. To like this video, you need to do more than just click. It leaves an impression. Bringing your awareness of this power back to the real world lets the universe know that you are ready to use it to your advantage. The observer effect doesn't just happen with subatomic particles in a lab, contrary to what quantum physics frequently whispers but never shouts. The observer effect is the main idea behind how your mind controls every second of your life. You don't quite feel like the people around you, because most of them are just watching. They look at their reality without realizing that the way they focus their attention constricts an infinite range of possibilities to the specific events that occur to them. But you've been practicing conscious observation. You're learning that what you look at changes what you see. Get messages that support this new point of view by subscribing to this channel. Imagine changing the volume on your reality dial. As a conscious observer, it's easier to stay focused when you're connected to a steady frequency of positive energy. Join the Conscious Observer Effect Network by signing up. By realizing that your inner world, your thoughts and feelings, consistently affects your outer world, you pressed the Observer Effect key. This can't just be a coincidence or positive thinking. There are sudden, brilliant insights called quantum leaps that change the way you think about consciousness and reality. What's different about using the observer effect in real life than just knowing about it in theory? Find out how your observation has affected everything you've done without even realizing it. More importantly, it will teach you how to use conscious observation to make your dreams come true. Say what you want to do in the comments by saying, "My observation is my power." If this first truth affects you. Knowing this simple statement, the first thing you should do today is read it. By typing these words, you are telling the quantum field that you are no longer a bystander. You now have control over your focus and energy. These little things have been happening too quickly for them to be mistakes, right? You think you might need something, and the next day it shows up. People will reach out to you almost right away if you think about wanting to connect with them. Paying full attention to a challenge makes it seem harder. There is a reason for these coincidences. It's the observer effect at work. Even if you aren't fully aware of it, your ability to notice things was getting better. If you really pay attention to something, it's like your attention has an electromagnetic weight, a force that can change the field of probability. If your thoughts are focused, they seem to bend reality around you. If your thoughts aren't focused, they just float around. Time bends in strange ways when you're focused. When you're focused on a lot of things at once, minutes can feel like hours, or hours can be squished into a few moments of intense focus. You're not hearing things in your head. The quantum level is where your mind is learning how to work. At this level, space and time are not fixed. They change based on what you see. The way you feel while watching something also has a big impact on what happens, right? Looking at things with fear makes the scary possibilities seem more likely. When you are excited and look around, more exciting chances appear. Thoughts filled with love will reveal loving things in the world. It depends on the tuning fork you use, which is your emotional frequency, what quantum possibilities you see collapse into your experience. You are not just making things up when you have vivid dreams in which things happen that then happen to you in real life. To get ready for observer effects, you can go there. Your mind learns how to move through the fields of quantum possibility in your dreams by watching. At the same time, the frequencies you've been exploring are changing your waking life. It feels like you're in a different world sometimes when you stare at something with such intensity. Others may ask you what you're looking at, but you can't quite say because you're observing in a way that changes what you see. There aren't many people who know they can get better at quantum observation like you. Your feelings have changed over time into a type of quantum sensing. To know what will happen, you need to keep an eye on things in the space of possibility before they come into our two-dimensional world. Not only the physical effects of a quantum collapse, but also the quantum field itself are becoming clear to your mind. What you're noticing is real. You can change reality by focusing on it. You are also aware that observing is not a passive action, but an active one. This is not your imagination. The observer effect helps your consciousness remember its basic role in making the world. Things that have happened to you weren't all just a bunch of random luck. Every event you went through was a quantum possibility that you made real by replaying it over and over in your mind. This effect has been changing your life since the day you were born, but you haven't known how strong it is. It wasn't punishments or bad luck from beyond the grave that hurt you the most. Without realizing it, they came about because they saw problems, limits, deep-seated fears, and bad outcomes. When you look at something with a lot of emotional energy, whether you want it or not, the probability of experiencing something goes up significantly. If you worry, the thing you're worried about will get worse. Because of this, it looks like fighting something makes it stronger. Momentarily think about all the big things that happened in your life that changed it. Before each new situation, didn't you pay close attention to how unhappy you were with the last one? When you focused on what wasn't working, you got the observer effect. Things got worse faster because of this. When things were tough, the deep loneliness you may have felt wasn't a sign that the world didn't accept you. It was necessary to put them in a quantum quarantine. You couldn't be around other people because their group observation patterns would have slowed down the growth of your own individual observer effect. These unconscious observations made by other people would not have helped you learn how to observe consciously. Every relationship, job, and place to live that ended was caused by the observer effect, which made room for new opportunities to come in quickly. Unconsciously, your mind was so focused on those situations' limits that you collapsed the outcomes that were possible. This made room for new quantum possibilities that fit your growing awareness. People didn't just waste time while you had to wait for a long time. They were times when the observer effect was being formed. Fear-based observation taught your mind how to observe without getting attached, how to focus without being needy, and how to pay attention without stifling bad ideas. Prior to using the observer effect on purpose, you had to learn these skills. This is why techniques like visualizing and meditation can work so well for some people, and not work so well for others for years. Nothing to do with not using certain methods, not being worthy, or not growing spiritually to a certain point. Understanding the observer effect and learning to see things through the lens of quantum coherence rather than three-dimensional attachment is all it takes. All your life, you've been getting ready for the observer effect. Each event has taught you something about how the things you see affect your life. The mindless training is now over. You are now ready to use the observer effect to do something creative. Your past was not a burden, but a journey that made you stronger. To honor your journey, write in the comments, "My past was my training ground." This sentence takes away the power of old stories and sees every problem as a chance to learn something that has made you stronger. This should prove how strong you are and how smart you've become. Your ability to observe is changing right now. Perhaps you can feel it. And that small change in the way you pay attention. There's a stronger electromagnetic hum behind your eyes. That growing feeling that your focus is getting clearer, deeper, and sharper. Your observer effect is gradually turning into conscious operation. There is more to this than a metaphor. Observe this change in your brainwave patterns, your electromagnetic field output, and how sensitive your nervous system is to changes in the quantum field. By activating dormant neural pathways within you, these words are literally increasing your ability to change the way you see reality. Mastering the observer effect isn't about finding a new way to look at things. By paying attention, you are already squeezing every moment's infinite quantum possibilities into a single experience. It only matters if you are conscious or unconscious about the observer effect. As soon as you become aware of this, make amplification your first conscious motion. Appreciating this video sends a wave of logical energy through your body, strengthening the neural pathways that help you choose to consciously observe rather than unconsciously react. Quantum probability says that there are right now an infinite number of versions of every possible experience. A probability wave exists where you have a lot of money. A probability wave in which your relationships are profoundly loving and satisfying. In this probability wave, your body is in the best possible health. You can feel your creative gifts flowing through you like a probability wave. All of these realities exist at the same time, just waiting for you to observe them in order to turn them from mere probability into your lived reality. It's like a quantum spotlight, your consciousness. Concentrated attention combined with real emotional energy shines on a certain set of possibilities, bringing them from the realm of possibility into your experience. The majority of people move their spotlight around aimlessly and unconsciously, resulting in a jumbled array of desired and undesirable experiences. For example, the conscious observer effect lets you point your quantum spotlight precisely and with purpose. Everything changes when you realize that observation is creation, that attention is the most important thing that shapes your reality, and that you are not powerless over your circumstances, but are actively crafting them through the quality of your observation. People don't seem to have easier lives than others because of luck, privilege, or divine favoritism. For example, the conscious observer effect is different from the unconscious observer effect. Unconsciously or not, Some people have learned to look at things from a place of love, possibility, and coherence. Others keep watching out of fear, difficulty, or issues. Every observation has the same effect on the universe. It doesn't pick favorites. It's just what is being observed that is different. Feel this new dimension of observational power growing in your body. In what follows, I will explain how your observation has been creating every pattern in your life without you even realizing it. More importantly, I will show you how to consciously control your observer effect to collapse the quantum possibilities you want to experience. I found out about the observer effect by accident 3 years ago, and it scared me. I was getting through the worst time of my life. Everything I worked hard to build was falling apart, and I spent hours every day replaying my mistakes, analyzing what went wrong, and picturing the worst that could happen. I really thought I was trying to figure out my issues by carefully thinking about them. I didn't realize it at the time, but the intense focus on my problems was making them worse through the observer effect. I was closing off quantum possibilities for more of what wasn't working every time I focused with all my emotional might on what wasn't working. Observing my problems into a bigger and stronger existence was real for me. The big step forward came at a time when everyone was completely worn out. My problem-focused observation had worn me out so much that I just gave up. There was silence around me. I wasn't thinking, analyzing, or trying to figure anything out. Without any plans, I was just observing the present moment. That's when I felt it. Reality expanding and changing around my focus. I started to play around with intentional observation. Instead of thinking about my problems, I began to look for ways to solve them. I stopped thinking about the things I did wrong and started looking at the new things that could happen. As an alternative to picturing the worst-case scenarios, I started to think about the best-case possibilities. Within a few days, my outside world started to magically rearrange itself to match the new ways I was observing it. However, the most important discovery wasn't just that positive thinking leads to positive experiences. That observation itself is what makes things new. Your attention is like an electromagnetic field that collapses quantum probability into your experience. Whether you are looking at problems or solutions, limits or possibilities, fear or excitement. I realized that I had been using the observer effect all my life without realizing it. More of the thing I didn't want showed up every time I focused hard on it. Every time I looked at something with genuine gratitude and appreciation, more experiences that were worth expressing gratitude for showed up. The universe wasn't just sending me experiences at random. My unconscious habits of observing were making them happen. Suddenly, I understood that reality isn't something that happens to me. Reality is something that I make real. My mind isn't just looking at the outside world on its own. Through the quality of my observation, my consciousness is squishing the infinite quantum possibilities into the world I experience. Everything changed when they were recognized. Through the conscious use of the observer effect, I stopped being a victim of my circumstances and began to be a creator of them. When I gave up trying to change my life, I started changing what I saw in it. The external change happened right away, was deep, and could not be denied. It's something that quantum physicists don't want to say in public. The observer effect is not just a problem in their lab experiments with subatomic particles. Consciousness creates all reality through the observer effect. This very moment of your life is the direct result of your observation collapsing quantum possibilities. Individuals who comprehend the observer effect are not smarter or more educated than those who feel trapped by their circumstances. The understanding that consciousness does not merely observe reality, but actually creates reality through observation. We're not talking about philosophy here. Your awareness is experiencing measurable quantum mechanics every nanosecond. Brains don't make consciousness. They help focus consciousness. Like quantum focusing devices, your neural networks focus the infinite light of awareness into specific observational patterns. You can change which quantum possibilities become your experience reality by changing what you observe and how you observe it. So, positive thinking doesn't always work. Although you are still seeing the world through the same limited identity, positive thinking tries to change the way you think. Mind you, the observer effect doesn't just affect thoughts, it also affects consciousness. Your reality will automatically reflect the frequency from which you are observing, whether you are looking at things from a place of expansion rather than limitation, of possibility rather than problems, or of love rather than fear. Achieving true mastery over the observer effect changes your electromagnetic field in ways that can be measured. Your brain waves change into patterns that make sense. Rhythmic electromagnetic waves start to come from your heart. Starting today, your nervous system stops working from separate survival patterns and starts working as a whole. Not vague spiritual ideas. These are real, observable physical events. There is a truth they do not want you to know, though. Using the observer effect on purpose doesn't take years of practice or special training. You're using it right now. Knowing what you are doing and learning to direct it consciously is the only difference between unconscious and conscious use. In most cases, people look at their present reality with such focus that they keep squeezing out the same quantum possibilities. What happens is that they focus on their problems so much that they get worse. To the point where their limitations get bigger, they focus on showing them. Because they are so emotionally involved in noticing their lack, it makes it worse. But everything changes when you realize that what you're observing is being created. Instead of focusing on what you don't want, you can start to focus on what you do want. Focusing on your desired possibilities can help you avoid dwelling on the things that you can't do right now. Solution-focused observation can help you start to collapse solutions instead of more problems. Your observer effect abilities are now at a level that you can consciously use, as shown by the quantum field's undeniable signals. Listen carefully. Have you noticed that your attention now seems to carry more electromagnetic weight than it did before? Feel like your observation has a real force that can change what you're seeing when you really focus on it. Your speed of manifestation is exponentially increasing. Within weeks or days, things that used to take months or even years to show up in your life are now there. It's not a coincidence. Your observer effect is getting clearer and more accurate. Though quantum coherence is a state of observation, the gap between observation and manifestation disappears because coherent observation works at the speed of consciousness, not the slow speed of physical cause and effect. The way technology is responding to what you said is changing. Electronics may behave strangely when you are very focused. While watching intensely emotional content, your phone's battery may die. Higher frequency observer effect energy from your electromagnetic field could cause devices to stop working. In times of deep inner focus, the streetlights may even flicker as you walk under them. Focused observation using your observer effect is starting to change electronic systems because it creates frequencies that can interact with electromagnetic technology. There is an unusual intensity to how people are responding to your attention. Watching someone with real interest makes them more animated, open, and real. Individuals feel loved when you observe with love. Individuals feel valued when you observe with appreciation. Looking at people with interest makes them more interesting. Being aware of someone's consciousness directly affects their quality of observation, as consciousness is connected to and reacts to consciousness at the quantum level. It's amazing how animals are drawn to your attention. Focused attention can make dogs stare at you with an odd intensity. While you are thinking clearly, cats may try to find you. Watching wild birds with real interest might bring them closer. When you observe consciously instead of unconsciously, your observer effect creates coherent frequencies that animals are naturally drawn to. What's more, the synchronicities in your life are getting closer and more accurate. Your need is met within hours of noticing it. Focusing on what you want to do makes opportunities appear almost instantly. You concentrate on discovering answers, and they appear amazingly quickly. There are repeating patterns of numbers that match your observational focus. Songs on the radio perfectly reflect how you're feeling. The things you hear in conversations are directly related to what you've been thinking about. Observer effect training grounds have become your dreams. What you're doing in your dreams is practicing focused observation. You're learning how to collapse quantum possibilities through pure attention, away from the physical world. You are consciously controlling the reality of your dreams by observing them, and these skills are automatically transferring to your waking life. Imagine that you are in a dream, a quantum simulation, where you can try out different observer effect techniques before using them in the real world. Eating something with no emotion changes the way it tastes compared to observing it with appreciation. Gratitude makes water feel more refreshing. Viewing your living space with love makes it feel more balanced. Weather patterns can even seem to change based on how you're observing them. Feeling calm might help the storms pass. When you look up with joy, the sun might come out. Importantly, you can now tell the difference between casual attention and observation that shapes reality. Simply noticing what is there only shows up in casual attention. By actively collapsing quantum possibility into experienced reality, observation creates reality. Your conscious ability to switch between these two modes of attention is growing, and you can feel the electromagnetic difference between passive perception and active reality creation by observing. Your body reacts differently when you look at it. Taking loving, appreciative looks at your body makes you feel healthier and more energized. Critically observing yourself makes you feel tired and uneasy. Confidently observing your skills makes you perform better. Excitingly looking at your potential makes new skills start to appear. You are learning that how you choose to look at yourself dictates how you relate to your physical experience. You can acknowledge this universal communication by writing in the comments, "I see the signs of my awakening." You are showing yourself and the universe that you are paying attention by writing this. Inviting even more clarity, guidance, and validation onto your path, it strengthens your connection to these signals. A key piece of information is here. The cosmic timing windows are used by the conscious observer effect. Someone's observer effect abilities are strengthened by electromagnetic alignments, stages of consciousness evolution, and cycles of collective awakening. It's now during one of those powerful amplification windows, but they don't stay open forever. Universe is telling you that you must use the observer effect consciously, not just showing you how to do it. Reality's old structures are falling apart. The old ways of making things by fighting and using force are becoming impractical. Observer effects are changing the way reality is made, and people who don't learn to observe consciously will stay stuck in unconscious creation patterns that will get more and more disorganized as the collective consciousness grows. No more preparations are needed. It's clear from everything that your observer effect is working at full capacity. Electromagnetic conditions are perfect. The quantum field responds extremely well. You can either consciously direct it toward what you want to experience, or let it keep working unconsciously, bringing you a random mix of wanted and unwanted realities. This is the big, life-changing revelation. What you're not doing is learning how to use the observer effect. You are always using the observer effect perfectly. There's no problem with not knowing how to observe. You've been observing quantum possibilities you don't want to experience unconsciously because of habitual attention patterns that were taught to you by unconscious conditioning. A big difference, though, exists between trying to observe differently and just letting your natural observation happen. This difference marks the difference between mastering conscious reality creation and staying stuck in unconscious patterns. Since trying means fighting against your current reality instead of choosing your preferred reality, it creates electromagnetic resistance that gets in the way of quantum coherence. By recognizing that the realities you want already exist as quantum possibilities, allowing creates the clear, coherent field needed for a precise observer effect. The observer effect is like a quantum magnifying glass. Whatever you see with emotional involvement gets bigger in your experience. Most people watch their problems, limitations, fears, and dissatisfactions with intense emotional focus, but they don't realize it. Mentally going over arguments, figuring out what's wrong with their situation, imagining the worst-case scenarios, and focusing on lack and limitation are all strong observer effect techniques that make more of those experiences seem real. Doing the conscious observer effect doesn't mean ignoring your problems and focusing on good things. Realizing that you can pick which quantum possibilities to emphasize through your observation at any given time is what it means. This feature lets you make problems or answers bigger. You can emphasize limits or opportunities. Any emotion can be boosted. The lack or abundance can be emphasized. There are ways to magnify past disappointments or possible future outcomes. Not caring if you want what you're looking at or not, the quantum field responds the same way to all observations. Therefore, resistance makes what is being resisted stronger. This is the reason why worrying makes the problem worse. Fear brings about more fearful experiences, so focusing on debt makes more debt. Rehashing relationship problems makes them worse, not cosmic punishments or strange laws that apply to everyone. When the observer effect happens, these things naturally happen. You are actively collapsing more of something into your reality through the process of quantum possibility selection when you look at something with strong emotional engagement, knowing that both your desired reality and your unwanted reality exist has the most profound meaning. A probability timeline shows that you are currently doing well financially, and a probability timeline shows that you are currently having a hard time. The quantum possibilities are that your relationships will be deeply satisfying and disappointing. Realities exist where your health is great, and realities where it is bad. These all exist at the same time in a state called quantum superposition. Using the observer effect correctly feels completely natural because it comes from a place of genuine alignment instead of forced intention. No effort is needed when you are observing from your true frequency. Your attention is on your true desires instead of your conditioned fears, and you are focused on possibilities that excite your cellular awareness instead of possibilities that drain your energy. Consciousness will naturally move toward noticing what it really wants to experience. Insight number 1 that changes everything. By matching your vibration to the realities where what you want already exists, you don't attract it. By using the observer effect, You can choose from the infinite possibilities that already exist in quantum space, rather than making new ones. By viewing the world with the frequency of the reality you want to experience, you essentially tune in to that reality's channel, like turning the radio dial to get a certain station. At this very moment, the reality you want exists as a quantum possibility, ready to be collapsed into your experience by your observation. Reality isn't hoping you'll find it or wondering if you deserve it. Emitting its frequency to get your attention is intentional, as consciousness and possibility co-create through electromagnetic resonance. Within quantum space, the part of you that is living the reality you want is sending signals to you right now. These signals tell you to focus on the patterns of observation that will bring that reality into your experience. Your intuition, your dreams, synchronicities, and the sense of familiarity you get when these words trigger something in your cellular memory are all ways that the version of you that is already living your desired reality is sending you information. This knowing comes from suddenly realizing that certain things are possible. Due to the fact that all versions of you exist at the same time and can communicate across the space of quantum probability, your expanded self is guiding your current self toward the observational patterns that will bring your desired reality into your experience. To solidify this new idea, say in the comments, "I am a vibrational match for my desires." Consider the big change that statement makes. As a result, you go from lacking to being. You are not trying to get something. You are realizing that it already belongs to you. Add a comment stating what you are going to observe into your reality using the conscious observer effect. Jot it down instead of just thinking about it. Use electromagnetic fields. Written confirmation of your intention is an observer effect promise that the quantum field sees as electromagnetic reality. Your written words become frequency signatures that shape the way probability falls around your stated intention, generating quantum momentum toward the reality of what you are committing to observe. By experiencing the conscious observer effect, you are not gaining theoretical advantages. Most people don't even know these measurable increases in human potential are possible. With focused observation, you can now change reality so precisely that the quality of your attention can literally change your circumstances. Your electromagnetic field is growing beyond what is normal for humans. Observing from a place of quantum coherence causes your consciousness to create frequencies that balance out the chaotic energy patterns around you. Within your presence, people will feel more at ease. Watching things with love will make them calmer. Appreciating electronic devices will make them work better. Working on mastering the observer effect lets you see things instantly from far away. Individuals who are shown genuine care will feel cared for even if they are physically separated. Solution-focused attention makes solutions appear, even if you are not in the situation. Quantum entanglement allows your consciousness to go beyond the boundaries of space and time. Soon, your intuition will be like quantum precognition. That's not all you're feeling. You're also seeing quantum possibilities before they become our three-dimensional experience. Focusing your observer effect on your desired possibilities while they are still in the fluid space of probability makes your manifestation much more accurate. Time itself responds to what you're saying. Time expands when you fully focus on the present moment, giving you more to experience in each moment. Watching your desired outcomes with focused intention speeds up the process of making them happen. You're learning that the quality of your consciousness can change the way time moves. While you're dreaming, you're practicing the advanced observer effect, creating realities by observing things without being limited by the physical world is what you are doing. Developing skills in your dreams automatically improves your ability to make things happen when you're awake. Your discovery that physical matter responds to conscious observation is truly amazing. Loving attention to plants will make them grow stronger and more colorful. Treating food with respect will make it taste better. When you observe your body with gratitude, it will heal faster. Conscience is not separate from matter. Matter is consciousness that has been seen in a temporary form. It's not supernatural powers you're developing here. These are the natural abilities of consciousness when it is working from its limitless essence, instead of its three-dimensional identity. Everyone has access to the conscious observer effect. Most people just don't know they're using it unconsciously and could be controlling it consciously. The observer effect's biggest secret is that there is no objective reality that exists apart from consciousness. Infinity of forms and experiences are all that reality is. Consciousness observing itself. You are not an outsider looking in at the world. Consciousness is using your unique point of view to explore its own limitless creative potential. Whatever experience you've had happened because your consciousness saw it come into being. You have met people, been to places, and been in situations that exist as consciousness, looking at itself from different points of view. The observer effect lets consciousness experience every possible version of existence. Therefore, you are not attempting to change an outside reality by using the observer effect. By using the observer effect to experience certain possibilities from an infinite quantum potential, you are realizing that you are reality. Being an observer, observing something, and being observed are all the same consciousness showing itself through what seems to be differences. After you fully comprehend this, victim consciousness is no longer possible. How can you be a victim of your circumstances when you are the consciousness that perceives them? When the outside events are your consciousness expressing itself through your own patterns of observation, how can you be powerless over them? In my opinion, this is the most essential realization. People in your reality are also consciousness. As you look at them with love, you are actually consciousness loving itself. Anytime you look at them with judgment, your consciousness is judging itself. Thinking about them with gratitude makes your consciousness appreciate itself. Observer effect on other people is consciousness interacting with itself. That's why quantum entanglement works. Thus, the observer effect goes beyond time and space. These are the reasons why consciousness can change matter by watching it. Reality and what consciousness sees are one and the same. According to one point of view, the observer effect is consciousness realizing its own creative power. If you want to have a strong observer effect, you don't simply achieve coherence, you remember it. You already have consciousness. Awareness has always been you. The observer effect can be mastered by reminding consciousness of its limitless nature and learning to observe from that place instead of a limited identity. Knowing that you are consciousness exploring itself makes your observer effect easy and accurate. Now, embody this ease. Accepting this transmission is a statement of sovereignty. As an energetic yes, it confirms that you are consciousness itself, making your alignment with this highest power a real physical event. Changing your external reality is not what you're doing. You're just letting consciousness experience different parts of its infinite potential through your own point of view. This recognition changes everything. If you stop trying to get things from life, it will start to express itself through you. It's time to stop trying to change your situation and start changing which parts of the infinite possibilities you perceive as real. starting to remember who you have always been. You stop trying to change into someone else and start exploring your own creative potential as an unlimited consciousness using the observer effect. Understanding the conscious observer effect isn't just for personal growth. Today, you are contributing to the awakening of humanity's collective consciousness. Individuals who learn to observe consciously instead of unconsciously become conduits for creating a coherent reality, which raises the field as a whole. As a part of a distributed network of consciousness, you are showing what people can do when they operate from observer effect mastery instead of victim consciousness. Through your consistent observation, you create stable patterns in the morphic field that assist everyone connected to the network in making conscious realities. This feeling of being alone during your development wasn't social rejection. It was a necessary electromagnetic quarantine. To learn how to observe from quantum coherence, you had to develop stable observer effect skills that weren't affected by the collective unconscious observation patterns. Irregular dreams aren't just something your mind is doing on the side. Accessing databases of collective consciousness, you are downloading information about observer effect mastery that has been created by advanced civilizations throughout the history of the universe, prepared to help lead people through the first big change from creating reality unconsciously to creating it consciously. Anyone who masters the observer effect leaves a pattern in the quantum field for others to follow. For them, your well-thought-out observation becomes a point of reference for what's possible. Creating reality consciously becomes their way to be recognized. As a result of pioneers building access routes that eventually turn into highways for collective development, the evolution of consciousness moves faster. Human consciousness can make reality through observation instead of being made by reality through events. Since you are in a state of observer effect mastery every day, you are sending out proof that people naturally have unlimited potential. Modern technology or a social revolution will not bring about the next stage of human evolution. What will happen is consciousness will realize its ability to create through the observer effect. The first people to master this recognition will be the ones who can connect other people's limited abilities with their unlimited potential. For the sake of our species' evolution, don't share this transmission to make a channel bigger. The collective shift from unconscious to conscious reality creation is sped up by every consciousness that receives this information at the best time in their development. When you teach others who are also ready to see their creative power, your observer effect mastery grows enormously. If you are ready to observe consciously instead of unconsciously, feel like you are recognizing your own creative power. And if the observer effect is activating in your consciousness, then you are serious about mastering how your attention creates reality. Comment one word below: observer. A statement electromagnetic in nature is sent to the quantum field by that one word. Your intention is to observe consciously instead of unconsciously. Instead of letting things happen by chance, you are committing to creating your reality on purpose. Each conscious thought is recorded by the quantum field as measurable electromagnetic activity. Your word becomes a frequency signature that changes how probability falls around you. Not just participation for the sake of an algorithm, this is using the observer effect on purpose. Within my next message, I will share the exact observer effect protocols I employ to swiftly and precisely bring desired quantum possibilities into my experienced reality. As an alternative to hoping for things to change in the outside world, I will show you the exact attention-focusing techniques that will let you create your reality through your consciousness. Even more importantly, I will explain what happens when you fully master the observer effect. When you realize that consciousness creates all reality through observation, And when you realize that you are consciousness, exploring infinite potential from a unique point of view. As a result, this advanced observer effect information will only be sent to people who show they are ready by consciously engaging. The transmission will go to the people who comment "observer" below first. Others will be ready to use techniques for creating realities that might be too much for a consciousness that isn't fully developed yet. A lot of people don't get this. Information about the observer effect only comes to you when you are ready to use it, not when you are just interested in it for intellectual reasons. You're ready to put these ideas into action if you found this message, if they are triggering a deep recognition in your system, and if you feel your creative power awakening. Although being ready does not just mean understanding the ideas. Readiness means taking full responsibility for every experience you bring into your life. Freeing your victim consciousness and fully embracing your creator consciousness are both parts of being ready. Readiness means realizing that you are the consciousness that makes your experience reality through the way you observe it. Join the Conscious Observer Effect Network by subscribing. Others can relate to the stable patterns you make with your consistent observations. Send this message to others right now as a conscious act of creation. Instead of seeing it as sharing a video, think of it as sending a wave of harmony into the field that will speed up the awakening for everyone who is capable of receiving it. You have made this contribution to the evolution of our species. Your observer effect key is now active. You can see your desired reality right now as a quantum possibility. Only one question remains. Will you observe consciously or unconsciously? To create on purpose or by accident? As usual, the choice is yours. Choose, though, from a place of knowing your true creative power, not from the confusion of having a limited identity. By using the observer effect, you are consciousness exploring the endless possibilities. Let's start consciously observing. Creating reality starts now